What's going on, guys? Another Sunday scan coming at you. We are 1 week away from Traders for a Cause event. This year is 100% free, like I've discussed. So I want to make sure that you guys have seen that, have signed up, because you are only going to be able to get on and watch if you have registered for the event. Like I said, this is the first year that we've done it for free. For obvious reasons, we can't host it in Vegas. I mean, we could, but probably just the people that put it on and the speakers would show up. So it's probably not a good idea. But we have just so many speakers from all different realms of trading that it is going to be, in my opinion, probably the best trading event. It doesn't even need to be day trading. It's swing trading, it's psychology, it's chartist. There's all kinds of different styles of traders, people involved in the stock market, and some people that don't even place trades, but they just can help. And I think that you're going to enjoy this. I think it's going to be a lot of value. And, I'll get into how you can double your money in the next 24 hours a little bit later in this segment. First and foremost, Sunday scans have been amazing. I mean, as far as market timing, it probably started with the Tesla and Apple thought process, the idea about the forward splits being the peak, and you kind of like peak euphoria and having that unwind, and then having them kind of retrace back to the late July. Originally, I said July 30th, 31st levels. And they did exactly that. We talked about short squeezes setting up last week, where I felt like we were very close. Not a Kodak moment, but a big squeeze type moment. And we had exactly that on the one that I was talking about, WWR. That stock, the idea started, it was actually like 176, I think. But basically 2 to 4 to 6 to 15, it actually hit 1850 pre-market one morning. So the timing and the topics of the first part of the scan, as you guys know, usually I have, my talking points for Sunday scan, but they have been just perfect timing. Perfect timing. They've helped me because that's what I'm prepared for. When I say these things, it's not just to, call stuff and hope it works. I mean, these are my game plans. These are my trades. This is how I am anticipating the market at this current time. And I mean, it's just been perfect. It's been dead on all the way up till last week related to the WWR squeeze, the idea for the long, as well as VVPR. So those of you guys that watched the scan last week, I told you that I was interested in VVPR. I said to check out the chat logs for my thesis, my game plan. Basically, I was looking to risk $1 or $2 because it felt like one of those types that it was, 1 to 2 risk for 5 to 8 upside. I was looking for an 18 to 22 breakout type of squeeze. And I mean, Friday was my best trade of the year, and it was VVPR. Everybody that watched Sunday Scan, everybody that was in the chat room was prepared for it. So these things can sneak up at any time. And the more that you're prepared for these trades, the better you can do. The biggest thing that I've changed in the last week, 2 weeks, and like I said, I had a crazy first 6 months or so. Then Kodak, I hit a small wall, but then I made it back in a couple days. And then I just started to, I hit a wall just from a physical standpoint of the fact that, I've got a 4-month-old at home, and I literally was just, I was doing too much. And so I started to kind of flatline for a little while, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, slowly up, but not the exponential, breakout that I was having through 2020. So then I made some changes. I started to zone in and focus. And just like I said on the keynotes from last week, was just focus on 2. Focus on 2 and size into those ones that you're most confident about. For me, I can't just sit there and trade 1 or 2 names like a lot of people do. That it does not fit my personality. I end up doing stupid things if I'm trying to, not trade. I just try to overcompensate on 1 or 2, things like that. So for me, I need to dabble, get at least participated a little bit in particular names, and then scale into the ones that work. However, if you do that to too many different names, you're kind of, you can make decent money on these 3, 4, 5, 6 different names, but how much could you have made, or how better of a trade could you have made if you just focused on that one or two? So as I said the last 2 weeks on Sunday Scan, my goal was focus on two names. Focus on two names. And I will be trading more, but size on those two names. Because if I overall my process, if the percentage is right most of the time, then yeah, every now and then I'm going to have a loss on particular setups. And with that, I have my risk management. With that, I have a stop in mind. With that, when the trade ends up being wrong, that's when I move on. Sometimes people ask me what my stop is. And just like I said on one of the other talking points a couple weeks ago, you should be adjusting along the way. The stop should never be the same. And when you're in the trade, at what point are you wrong? At what point are you wrong? And at that point is when you should either adjust your size, take it off, or at least kind of have that conversation with yourself. Okay, if this does X, I'm out. If it stays heavy here, I'm adding. If it does nothing, then I should probably size down anyway, because risk is 50-50 and I shouldn't be, battling this with any size. So that's kind of how I trade these situations. That's how I've been trading this market. And, the other point from last week, last Sunday Scan, we were talking about, WWR, potential squeeze being imminent, and, how traders were just XXXXXL size. And I think you saw that a little bit on VVPR, where it just kind of tossed around a few big players. A couple. It doesn't take a lot of traders to move that stock, right? So if you've got a handful of shorts that are short 100,000 shares or more or less, whatever, but when you start to add up and you realize that's 25% of the float across a handful of guys, if it stops going down and those traders have good risk management, yeah, they're going for the offers. And then they start to kind of jump on top of each other, and then you get those circuit halts, you get these big breakouts. So I think it's a very important to be aware of the 100 million share club type names. Anytime that I typically watch stocks that are trading $1 million to $2 million, then quickly 5 million, quickly 10 million, quickly 20. That should kind of send an alert to your brain and okay, I need to chill out. I need to, reevaluate and make sure that I'm not trying to find the top on size, because that's when you're going to get ran over, when they continually churn that float over and over and over and over again. So either way, awesome week last week, very, very prepared. And the last note about, sizing into two names. One other thing that I've been telling a couple people, sometimes, obviously everybody kind of runs hot, then goes cold for a little bit, runs hot, cold, run, back, forth, back, forth, back, forth. Come to the market every morning with two ideas. And just like you see me going to, taking 10 or 12 or 15 names and condensing it to 3 or 4, I'm only trading 1 or 2 off the open. I'm not trying to trade 3 or 4, in size, right? So think about that when you come to the market and you kind of feel like you're all over the place. Zone in, and either at night or early in the morning, you shouldn't be showing up at 9 a.m. as you guys know. Do the work the night before. You've got your two, these are the ones I'm prepared for. This is where I would enter. This is what I would do. And this is why. And have those two. And that's where your focus is. That's where you need to just zone in. And if you do that, you're going to see a much better result, I think, in your trading than if you're just trying to, oh, that one moved, I'm going to go for that one. That one moved, that one moved, that, blah, 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 back and forth. Not happening. Don't do it. Because you're going to make, yeah, sure. Maybe you make $100 and $200 on 9 different names, or you could just focus on 2 and make $5,000 on each one, right? So if you're focused on less, you focus on the quality, right? And one thing one other note, I was talking to the friend that I talk about quite often, who is kind of an aspiring trader, and like this year, he's done it. He started a construction company to kind of fund his first trading account because that was his passion. His passion is to be a trader, but he knew that he couldn't just do it like that. You can't just say, I'm going to be a trader. That's just not how it works. Becoming a trader, being a trader is a product of proper process, consistency, and letting this process work for you over time. And then as you have that consistency, as well as the padding, back home, that allows you to make that choice to make it your profession. All of those things together is what allows you to take that next step and become that trader. So anyway, I was talking to him, and kind of used some of his feedback. He took a huge turn when we focused on a stop on his account, because that means he only has X amount of bullets. And he was doing well, give it back. Well, give it back. Well, give it back. When you put that stop on your account and say, what, that's it. Like I'm done if this happens, then that forces you to say, okay, I shouldn't take that trade because I could hit my stop and I'd be done for the day. And that little slowing down completely changed his career, and he has since skyrocketed off the low account levels, and now he still has a larger stop, but it's not as tight because now he's got that wiggle room, and he's not always worried about going under PDT. He's not always worried about giving the next day back, and he's got a proper process. So keep that in mind. Think about two things. Have a stop on your account until you find consistency, because there's nothing worse than working well for 5 days and giving it all back. Working well for 3 days, give it all back, right? So our goal is always to only give back a day or two max, and that's it. And that way you will see consistent growth rather than doing this like everybody does once they find some type of consistency, but they don't have their basically any risk management, right? Relative strength outperforms JKS, PACB. I mean, all these charts, I'm watching them all. But, once again, go back and look at the charts. 85, 90% of the days have been green over the last 2, 3, 4 months. So why should tomorrow be any different? So if you are trading the short side, just remember that the edge, if you nail the short, is to cover, not to be patient. Because 85, 90, 95% of the time you would have been squeezed back out, right? So that's kind of the thought process here. JKS, I see a lot of people still trying to find top. There are those days where there's going to be the pullback days, the days that they kind of take a small break. But you need to be cautious of fighting those trends. So assume these things are going to keep on going, just like Peloton. I'd love to see it keep on going, but we have a big trade close. We do. And the key about the big trade is to take the trade, right? Just like Plug and BLDP and PEIX, great trades this week, but you had to take the trade, because if you stuck around and tried to be a hero thinking it was going to be the reversal day, came right back up, because that's just what we do in a bull market. So again, Traders for a Cause is this weekend, Saturday and Sunday. You have to sign up, like I said. So the secret to doubling your money this week is everybody that finds value in my Sunday scans, everybody that's going to participate in the event, or anybody that just listens and feels the desire to donate, I will match $10,000 of donations for the next 24 hours. So you can, if you want to donate $10,000, I will match that $10,000. But hopefully there's a bunch of you, a couple hundred of you, that may be inclined to donate. And whatever you donate is doubled up to $10,000 over the next 24 hours. That is how you can double your money in the next 24 hours. Now, with that said, one thing to think about, our goal with Traders for a Cause is not just to raise money for charities, but also to inspire traders to give. And sometimes people are like, screw this guy, he doesn't need to tell me to donate, things like that. But people it's tough to raise money, and it's tough to convince people that on their best year ever, it should be their best year of giving ever, right? But I promise you, the way in which you will feel after you participate at a bigger level than you ever have is well worth it. Being able to see some of these stories, being able to see, firsthand who you're helping, things like that. I think it's very important, and I would encourage you guys all to at least, if you don't donate, on this scan for the double, visit Saturday and Sunday, take something of value, and you know what? Like I said last week, the guy that donates $5 is way better than the guy that just showed up and gave zero. So keep that in mind. But it is a lot of traders' best years ever. So it's you can give a percentage, and it's not going to change your life in any way whatsoever. But it will change somebody else's on a exponential multiple. So that's it. Let's get right into Sunday scan, and we'll catch you in a minute for round two. All right, Albert E. For the t-shirt winner tonight, email me, webmaster@investorsunderground.com. All right, let's get right into it. Like I said, GME. GME, I really wanted a better piece of this. I really wanted a big gap up. We didn't get it, so I had to adjust. And, there was those flush outs during the day, but, we didn't get the real big fade until Wedbush came out and put a big $8 target on it. So you can see there was a lot of support in this 1380 range, and Wedbush came along, put on that target, and I shorted. I faded it. I had a decent chunk. I felt pretty good about the trade, but just kind of seeing how it had traded the prior part of the day, flush out, come back, flush out, come back. And sometimes when these guys come out and they put out targets, sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. So I didn't want to get too biased based off that 8 target. But it ended up not seeing a penny higher, and it continued to go down after hours as well. So basically they said that the Microsoft relationship is, there's no reason for it to have upticked. It's not a game changer, and basically they don't see any upside from it. So for me, I'm going to be looking, and hopefully I want higher, right? I always look higher the better. So you can see that there's a lot of support in the 1230 range before it started to break down. So I know it pulled back a little bit under 12, 1180s, 1170s. Ideally, I want to see that ramp up in the morning, 1230s, 1250s. And I think that we'll start to see this stay a little bit heavy and potentially kind of bring in and fade all the way back to where it came from. And what is interesting to me is the amount of volume that has come in nearly back-to-back 80 million share days. So we had one huge squeeze and then one huge unwind, and we've got a whole bunch of new long traders stuck, and we might have had a lot of shorts bail out and get squeezed out. And so if that is the case, then we might not have that steady bit of cover, and we might start to see it unwind for quite some time. So for me, higher the better. 1230s, 1250s is ideal. Fade back. Maybe we get under 11s, maybe even lower. But again, one day at a time. We're in a bull market. Let's assume that it holds. But if it should have rebounded, fails, and VWAP stays heavy. We talk about VWAP a lot, how, rather than trying to find, the top on this, try to find the top as it's coming down, as it's bouncing off of VWAP. Have VWAP be on the top rather than, on the bottom of the trend. And if that is the case, then I would gladly, fade it throughout the day. Next one is going to be VVPR. So this came in a little bit after hours. As I told the room early in the day, be aware that, they're trying to get a filing off. So for this one, you always have to have that as the risk. That's also a great short thesis. However, we had 100 million plus volume. So a lot of people had misinformation, and they were like, oh, 1050 offering and things like that. I mean, some people that don't know how to read the filing read it and they see 1050. So I feel like a lot of shorts came in, even though that was not the offering price. If they price this well, then it potentially could squeeze out. It is a foreign company, so I don't know if Columbus Day really matters where banks are closed and maybe they don't close it. But if they don't close it tomorrow, and this has a really weak open, and people are waiting for it and they still haven't raised by open, we could see this thing squeeze back. So my thought is, if it pulls back under 14s, I potentially would trade that long and kind of assume that it's got room to go until 17s. And if it wanted to squeeze out from there, keeping in mind that I pretty much worked out everybody from 16 to 17 throughout the afternoon. So if it exhausts everybody out and then quickly gets back on 17, everybody's going to be looking to short it. If it starts to go again, then we could get back up towards that VWAP level, which 1750, 18, some type of round 2 squeeze. Typically on, it's different and it's harder because there is a filing for an offering. They're trying to, they amended it, they upsized it. So with that said, it makes it a little bit more tough because normally in a situation like this on BBY, if you guys remember, same candle, and my goal is if the base holds again, get long, right? So you have this same candle, and that next morning, this thing held, weak open, but it held a higher low, and then, rocket. So typically, I would be looking for that. So yes, it's difficult because if they raise, it's difficult because the risk of a raise. But if we stop going down and it starts going up, I like the risk for reward for a potential move back 17 to 20. And I know that sounds crazy, but it is possible given the volume. And I think given the fact that the float is still minimal, and it all just kind of depends on the timing of the raise and just how many people are anticipating that raise and how aggressively, right? So if everybody's like, they're going to raise, no big deal, easy money, and all of a sudden it holds, then obviously they've got to come back and try to get a cover. So we'll see. I'm not crazy excited about it. I still have some left. But as far as a day trade, as far as a trade that I feel comfortable with, I'd be looking dips and look back at that BBBY example, and that tells me that there is possibility that it could ramp back up. After that, I'd be done with it. All right, PTON, PTON. Higher the better. I mean, this is another situation, just like AMD, Apple, Tesla, all these things. Anticipate them to keep on going and going and going. You don't want to step in front of this. If you step in front of this, you're just going to get, squeezed out. And it's going to be $3 and $4 and, another $2. And it's just going to add up. And you're going to be like, how did I lose $15 a share on this thing? So the two ways that I would trade this: gap up, parabolic move to be able to start in with some type of buffer, some type of padding, and then scale into the winner. I think that we're going to have a big $8 to $12 pullback day at some point, maybe 5 to 8, but I don't want to anticipate that because I'll get ran over. So the only way is failed follow through when VWAP is on top, or a parabolic move that gives us that entry to be able to be patient and say, okay, they blew everybody out and it's unwind time. Again, I'm looking for that trade. I'm not looking to say this is the top for the month. I'm going to be patient now, because that's what's going to get you in trouble. Just like JKS, as you guys saw, if you keep on trying to time the top and say, this is it, I'm going to be patient, there's no way it can go higher. It just went 20 bucks in 2 days after it went 400 or 200%, whatever it did. The next section, and again, I always remind you guys, click through, go to the description and click through to Investors Underground. You can see the scan link. I always have all my thoughts written out, as well as more stocks that I will set price alerts for on Monday. So I don't watch all these stocks, but I set price alerts so that I can be prepared, so that when and if the alert hits, I already know what I want to do with it. The next three are pretty simple. SNMP, USWS, and SDPI. These are all a sign of the times. People are just chasing stuff up pre-market like nothing matters. Especially this SNMP. I mean, just stupidity. And I don't mind it. I absolutely love it. They've all been easy to borrow. As you guys saw in SNMP, I told the room, I said, this thing closed at 30 cents before, the day before. So typically when that happens, the circuit halts are very close, right? And so I said you should anticipate this doing a circuit halt off the open if they hold it off the 930 candle. So a lot of times you see them flush and then rip it right back up. That's exactly what happened. And so I got short as soon as I said it, 152, 155, 150s. And then I just added. And I covered about 2/3 of it into the close, and I kept some more over. But just a fantastic trade, 150 to 70 cents. You don't get that every day. And you could have traded whatever size you felt comfortable with. We had the same trade, and this is kind of like sympathy moves. USWS, you saw me post it on Twitter. I'm not trying to be a hero entry type person, but I did get 96s, 97s, and I let that trade work. I didn't size in like crazy at that level, but I sized in throughout the day. Same thing, SDPI. Another one, you didn't have to go crazy size, but it all added up. And so keep an eye out for these things. Keep an eye out for stocks that are running for zero reason and crazy volume, pre-market push. What's happening right now is just probably a couple players are pushing these things up, pushing, trapping early shorts, squeezing them out, getting short, letting them fade. We've seen it over and over again. Reminder, at some point, shorts will get complacent. And at some point, it will rebound, rip into a halt, rip into the next halt, rip into the next halt. And we will go 1 to 130, 170, 240, 280 before, it starts to come in. And people will blow up. So always remember that. Always recheck your risk, just like we talked about at one of the Traders for a Cause in Vegas. Check those dials. Where's your risk? Where's your size? Where's your edge? And make sure that everything's in check. And if not, you need to start adjusting. Tilray, higher the better. Everybody got excited. This could be, I don't know, but it could be something that runs into the election, depending on polls and back and forth kind of, action between the two candidates. But so far, it seemed like they mentioned it. It had some momentum and then just sold right off. So that's good for longevity because you don't want it just to go straight up, right? You want it to ramp up, appear dead, and then have round two. So I want to be aware of that, but for now, I will fade it until it starts to find a new base. And if it finds a higher base, I will consider taking it for a trade. Next up is the continuation section of the scan. Again, if you click through, you'll see the different, I've always separated out different things. So I've got my main watches, my short watches, my long watches, and then everything else for putting in price alerts. SOL, major trade. I wanted to get long here. I missed it. You can see a nice breakout. These types of charts, just throwing away what you know and joining trends. It's a pretty clear breakout here over the 290s, 3s. It ramped through, came back, retested it, kissed it, and then headed higher. My goal was to get long there, probably risk towards 280s, 270s. But like I said, I missed it. So this is the next level, and I'll be looking for something probably pull back versus the 380 level, and then potential 455, 7, in the coming week. So we'll see what happens with that one. FLUX, same thing. Not looking to overdo this thing. Nice steady trend so far. You can see the wicks that we talk about. Flush out, rebound, flush out, rebound. Same thing, flush out, rebound. That's good for longevity. We talk about this all the time. We don't want something that goes straight up. Yes, it's nice. If you're long, it's great. But if you're looking for a more scripted, steady, bigger picture idea, I want to see that it's kind of retested, come back up, retested, come back up, so on and so forth. Otherwise, you're like one candle away from, disaster. So let's see what happens here. Again, I have a position there. I've been, scooping since the idea on the first day when it popped up over 7s. OPTT and age, both potentials. I was hoping that age would stay a little bit weaker on Friday, and then maybe we have one of those liquidity traps where it just, takes off. And in a perfect world, we'd have some type of weak open, 220s, 230s, or 230s, 240s, consolidate, and then ramp towards 280s, 3s, and so on and so forth. There might be a lot of shorts in here. There was huge volume, and it did actually hold pretty well. It did come in a lot, but, overall, it held pretty well. So I want to be aware of that. Same thing, OPTT. At some point, they'll probably raise some money, but for now, the 300 million shares traded over 2 days, and price is holding. You never know. We could be, going to the next step. So I want to be joining trend on these. That could be a short, but I want to be prepared for weak opens and then, potential breakout. That's what I'm coming to the market prepared for. If they open too strong, if they squeeze out and they start to fade, I am adjusting my game plan. I'm not going to remain long biased. So that's what I'm prepared for. Like I said, I always have, I've got WKHS, JKS, PACB, HIBB, a few others, CBay that's been a good swing trade. But, those I will set price alerts. Look left, set, alerts at the prior support level, set alerts every 50 cents so you stay familiar with it in your head. And then that way when you see it hit, you know when it's time. And so anyway, that's what I'm prepared for tomorrow. Like I said, if the way that you can double your money guaranteed in 24 hours is to donate. So if you guys find any value, we'll have the link in there as well. And anything that you donate up to $10,000 in the next 24 hours, I will be matching. And like I said, make sure you're on that list. It's going to be a great event. You're going to meet a lot of good people. And I've met a lot of good people. I've learned a lot from different traders. So no matter who you are, no matter how long you've been trading, you can always pick something up new. And, I'm always inspired and encouraged by other traders. The people that think they know it all, the people that think they've figured it out or mastered the market and all that kind of crap. I mean, they're missing out because they don't have an open mind. They don't want to learn what else is out there and how they can perform better. So for me, I'm always a student of the markets, and I'm always interested in new information and what people are doing better than me and how I can better myself. So, and sometimes it's just that one sentence that you pull out. Sometimes Brett Steenbarger says something a certain way, and it's like, I do that. That's me. I need to stop doing that. And he's a trading psychologist, and he works with SMB Capital as well as, I think, Goldman, as well as a bunch of other traders. He's in there. He knows. And he sees it, and he works through this on a daily basis with some top performers. So he's going to be there. He's always a great speaker, always hits home, and always something that you can take home from that. So anyway, I think that's it. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you in the room tomorrow. And by the way, the markets are open tomorrow. The banks are closed. Markets are open. So everybody was, asking me, hey, long weekend, markets are closed. No, they're not. So we'll see you Monday.